Okay. Good morning. We have the water. We have the coffee. We're ready. It is January 29th. $6:45. Red numbers 34. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Command the sons of Israel and say to them, when you enter the land of Canaan, this is the land that shall fall to you as an inheritance, even the land of Canaan according to its borders. Your southern sector shall extend from the wilderness of Zin along the side of Edom, and your southern border shall extend from the end of the Salt Sea eastward. Then your border shall turn direction from the south to the ascent of Akrabim and continue to Zin, and its termination shall be to the south of Kadesh Barnea, and it shall reach Hazar and continue to Asmon. The border shall turn direction from Asmon to the brook of Egypt, and its termination shall be at the sea. As for the western border, you shall have the Great Sea, that is, its coastline. This shall be your west border. And this shall be your north border. You shall draw your border line from the Great Sea to Mount Hor. You shall draw a line from Mount Hor to the Lebo Hamath. And the termination of the border shall be at Zedad. And the border shall proceed to Ziphron, and its termination shall be at Hazar Enan. This shall be your north border. For your eastern border, you shall also draw a line from Hazar Enan to Shepham. And the border shall go down from Shepham to Riblah on the east side of Ain. And the border shall go down and reach the slope on the east side of the Sea of Kinnereth. And the border shall go down to the Jordan, and its termination shall be at the Salt Sea. This shall be your land according to its borders all around. So Moses commanded the sons of Israel, saying, "This is the land that you are to apportion by lot among you as a possession, which the Lord has commanded to give to the 9.5 tribes. For the tribe of the sons of Reuben have received theirs according to their fathers' households, and the tribe of the sons of Gad according to their fathers' households, and the half tribe of Manasseh have received their possession. The 2.5 tribes have received their possession across the Jordan opposite Jericho, eastward toward the sun rising." Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "These are the names of the men who shall apportion the land to you for an inheritance: Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun. You shall take one leader of every tribe to apportion the land for inheritance. These are the names of the men: Of the tribe of Judah, Caleb, the son of Jephunneh. Of this tribe of the sons of Simeon, Samuel, the son of Amihud. One of the tribe of Benjamin, Elidad, the son of Kislon. Of the tribe of the sons of Dan, a leader, Buki, the son of Jogli. Of the sons of Joseph, of the tribe of the sons of Manasseh, a leader, Haniel, the son of Ephod. Of the tribe of the sons of Ephraim, a leader, Kemuel, the son of Shiftan. Of the tribe of the sons of Zebulun, a leader, Elizaphan, the son of Parnak. Of the tribe of the sons of Issachar, a leader, Paltiel, the son of Azan. Of the tribe of the sons of Asher, a leader, Ahihud, the son of Shalomi. Of the tribe of the sons of Naphtali, a leader, Pedahel, the son of Ammihud. These are those whom the Lord commanded to apportion the inheritance of the sons of Israel in the land of Canaan. The Lord says to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet. The Lord will stretch forth your strong scepter from Zion, saying, pardon me. The Lord will stretch forth your strong scepter from Zion, saying, rule in the midst of your enemies. Your people will volunteer freely in the day of your power. In holy array from the womb of the dawn, for you or your youth are to you as the dew. The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. The Lord is at your right hand. He will shatter kings in the day of his wrath. The Lord is at your right hand. He will shatter kings in the day of his wrath. He will judge among the nations. He will fill them with corpses. He will shatter the chief men over a broad country. He will drink from the brook by the wayside. Therefore he will lift up his head. John 4. Therefore, when the Lord knew that the Pharisees had heard that Jesus was making and baptizing more disciples than John, although Jesus himself was not baptizing, but his disciples were, he left Judea and went away again into Galilee. And he had to pass through Samaria. So he came to a city of Samaria and called it Sychar, near the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. And Jacob's well was there. So Jesus, being wearied from his journey, was sitting thus by the well. It was about the 6th hour. There came a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." For his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. Therefore the Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, being a Jew, ask me for a drink, since I am a Samaritan woman?" For Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. Jesus answered and said to her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it was who says to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." She said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where then do you get that living water? You are not greater than our father Jacob, are you, who gave us the well, and drank of it himself and his sons and his cattle?" Jesus answered and said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water that I will give him shall never thirst. But the water that I will give him will become in him a well of water springing up to eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water, so I will not be thirsty, nor come all the way here to draw." He said to her, "Go, call your husband and come here." The woman answered and said, "I have no husband." Jesus said to her, "You have correctly said, 'I have no husband,' for you have had 5 husbands, and the one whom you now have is not your husband. This you have said truly." The woman said to him, "Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and you people say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship." Jesus said to her, "Woman, believe me, an hour is coming when neither in this mountain nor in Jerusalem will you worship the Father. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, for salvation is from the Jews. But an hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. For such people the Father seeks to be his worshippers. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth." The woman said to him, "I know that Messiah is coming, he who is called the Christ. When that one comes, he will declare all things to us." Jesus said to her, "I who speak to you am he." At this point, his disciples came, and they were amazed that he had been speaking with a woman. Yet no one said, "What do you seek?" or "Why do you speak with her?" So the woman left her water pot and went into the city and said to the men, "Come, see a man who told me all the things that I have done. This is not the Christ, is it?" They went out of the city and were coming to him. Meanwhile, the disciples were urging him, saying, "Rabbi, eat." But he said to them, "I have food to eat that you do not know about." So the disciples were saying to one another, "No one brought him anything to eat, did he?" Jesus said to them, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me, and to accomplish his work. Do you not say, 'There are yet 4 months, and then comes the harvest'? Behold, I say to you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, that they are white for harvest. Already he who reaps is receiving wages and gathering fruit for eternal life, so that he who sows and he who reaps may rejoice together. For in this case the saying is true, one sows and another reaps. I sent you to reap for which you have not labored. Others have labored, and you have entered into their labor." From that city, many of the Samaritans believed in him because of the word of the woman who testified. He told me all, because the woman who testified, he told me all the things that I've done. So when the Samaritans came to Jesus, they were asking him to stay with them, and he stayed there 2 days. Many more believed because of his word, and they were saying to the woman, "It is no longer because of what he said that we believe, for we have heard for ourselves and know that this one is indeed the Savior of the world." After the 2 days, he went forth from there into Galilee. After the 2 days, he went forth from there into Galilee. For Jesus himself testified that a prophet has no honor in his own country. So when he came to Galilee, the Galileans received him, having seen all the things that he did in Jerusalem at the feast. For they themselves also went to the feast. Wait a second. The feast. Yeah. Therefore he came again to Cana of Galilee, where he had made the water wine. Okay, that's what it's talking about. And there was a royal official whose son was sick at Capernaum. When he heard that Jesus had come out of Judea into Galilee, he went to him and was imploring him to come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. So Jesus said to him, "Unless you people see signs and wonders, you simply will not believe." The royal official said to him, "Sir, come down before my child dies." So Jesus said to him, "Go, your son lives." The man believed the word that Jesus spoke to him and started off. As he was now going down, his slaves met him, saying that his son was living. So he inquired of them the hour when he began to get better. Then they said to him, "Yesterday at the 7th hour the fever left him." So the father knew that it was at that hour in which Jesus said to him, "Your son lives." And he himself believed in his whole household. This is again a second sign that Jesus performed when he had come out of Judea into Galilee. Okay. So because last time I did Henry and then called it quits because it was nighttime and I was getting tired. Because of that, and because I have to get going in like 20 minutes. I'm gonna skip Henry today and skip Grudem, and I'm going to just do Gurnall and hopefully one more thing after that too, which I guess would be. I guess I should probably do Austin after that. So we're just gonna do these two, and then we'll probably have to go. So it's kind of unfortunate. I wish I was still waking up really early. It's like 7 o'clock right now. I should start waking up early again, I think. All right. Oh yeah, we definitely did that one. Okay. Direction 7th. Direction 7th. Be sure to get some Christian friend whom thou mayest trust above others to be thy faithful monitor. Oh, that man hath a great help for the maintaining of the power of godliness, that has an open-hearted friend that dare speak his heart to him. A stander-by sees more sometimes by a man than the actor can do by himself. And is more fit to judge of his actions than he of his own. Sometimes self-love blinds us in our own cause, that we see not ourselves so bad as we are. And sometimes we are over-suspicious of the worst of the worst by ourselves, which makes us appear to ourselves worse than we are. Now that thou mayest not deprive thyself of so great help from thy friend, be sure to keep thy heart ready with meekness to receive, yea, with thankfulness to embrace a reproof from his mouth. Those that cannot bear plain dealing hurt themselves most, for by this they seldom hear the truth. He that hath not love enough to give a reproof, sensibly or seasonably, to his brother, nor humility enough to bear a reproof from him, is not worthy to be called a Christian. By the first, namely the inability to, or doesn't have the love enough to give a reproof seasonably to his friend. By the first, he shows himself a, quote, hater of his brother, Leviticus 19. By the second, he proves himself, quote, a scorner, Proverbs 9. Holy David professed he would take it as a kindness for the righteous to smite him, yea, as kindly as if he broke a box of precious oil upon his head, which was amongst the Jews a high expression of love. And he made his word good. He did not, as the papists do by their holy water, commend it highly, but turn away his face when it comes to be sprinkled on him. No, Abigail and Nathan, who reproved him, one for his bloody intentions against Nabal and his family, the other for his bloody fact upon Uriah. They both sped well in their errand. The first prevented the fact intended by her seasonable reproof. The second recovered him out of that dismal sin of murder wherein he had lain some months without coming so far to himself as to repent of it, for aught that we read. And it is observable that they did not only prevail in the business, but endeared themselves so unto him, by this their faithfulness to his soul, that he takes Abigail to be his wife, and Nathan to be of his most privy counselor to his dying day. 1 Kings 1. Truly it is one great reason why the falls of professors are so frequent in our days, and their recoveries so rare of late. Because few in these unloving times are to be found so faithful as to do this Christian office of reproof to their brethren. They will sooner go and tattle of it to others to their disgrace than speak of it to themselves for their recovery. Indeed, by telling others, we obstruct our way from telling the person himself, with any hope of doing him good. It will be hard to make him believe thou comest to heal his soul when thou hast already wounded his name. Heal his soul and wounded his name. A matter of love. Matter of love. Okay. Chapter 10. More than once did Elizabeth. Oh, wait. Yeah. All right, let's just jump in. This is Pride and Prejudice, Volume 2, Chapter 10. More than once did Elizabeth, in her ramble within the park, unexpectedly meet Mr. Darcy. Oh, man. Oh, boy. She felt all the perverseness of the mischance that should bring him where no one else was brought. And to prevent its ever happening again, took care to inform him at first that it was a favorite haunt of hers. Wait, I already don't understand. More than once, Elizabeth, in her ramble within the park, unexpectedly meet Mr. Darcy. She felt all the perverseness of the mischance that should bring him where no one else was brought, to prevent its ever happening again. To inform it at first, it was a favorite haunt of hers. Okay. The mischance that I see. It was just them. I see. How it could occur a second time, therefore, was very odd. Yet it did, and even a third. It seemed like willful ill nature or voluntary penance, for on these whoops. Okay, so he ran into her multiple times on her walk, it looks like. For on these occasions, it was not merely a few formal inquiries and an awkward pause and then away, but he actually thought it necessary to turn back and walk with her. He never said a great deal, nor did she give herself the trouble of talking or of listening much. But it struck her in the course of their third rencontre. I would look it up, but I don't really have time this morning. That he was asking some odd, unconnected questions about her pleasure in being in Hunsford, her love of solitary walks, and her opinion of Mr. and Mrs. Collins' happiness. And that in speaking of Rosings and her not perfectly understanding the house, he seemed to expect that whenever she came into Kent again, she would be staying there too. His words seemed to imply it. Could he have Colonel Fitzwilliam in his thoughts? She supposed if he meant anything, he must mean an allusion to what might arise in that quarter. It distressed her a little, and she was quite glad to find herself at the gate in the pales opposite the parsonage. He was asking some odd, unconnected questions. I think he just likes her. I mean, that does state the obvious, but all right. She was engaged one day as she walked in reperusing Jane's last letter and dwelling on some passages which proved that Jane had not written in spirits when, instead of being again surprised by Mr. Darcy, she saw on looking up that Colonel Fitzwilliam was meeting her. Putting away the letter immediately and forcing a smile, she said, "I did not know before that you ever walked this way." "I have been making a tour of the park," he replied, "as I generally do every year, and intend to close it with a call at the parsonage. Are you going much farther?" "No, I should have turned in a moment." And accordingly, she did turn, and they walked towards the parsonage together. "Do you certainly leave Kent on Saturday?" said she. "Yes, if Darcy does not put it off again. But I am at his disposal. He arranges the business just as he pleases. And if not able to please himself in the arrangement, he has at least great pleasure in the power of choice. I do not know anybody who seems more to enjoy the power of doing what he likes than Mr. Darcy. He likes to have his own way very well," replied Colonel Fitzwilliam. "But so we all do. It is only that he has better means of having it than many others, because he is rich, and many others are poor. I speak feelingly. A younger son, you know, must be inured to self-denial and dependence. In my opinion, the younger son of an earl can know very little of either. Now, seriously, what have you ever known of self-denial and dependence? When you have been prevented by want of money from going wherever you choose, or procuring anything you had a fancy for? These are home questions, and perhaps I cannot say that I have experienced many hardships of that nature. But in matters of greater weight, I may suffer from the want of money. Younger sons cannot marry where they like, unless where they like women of fortune, which I think they very often do. Our habits of expense make us too dependent, and there are not many in my rank of life who can afford to marry without some attention to money. Is this, thought Elizabeth, meant for me? And she colored at the idea, but recovering herself, said in a lively tone, "And pray, what is the usual price of an earl's younger son, unless the elder brother is very sickly?" "I suppose you would not ask above £50,000. He answered her in the same style, and the subject drop. To interrupt the silence, which might make him fancy her. To interrupt the silence, which might make him fancy her affected with what had passed, she soon afterwards said, I imagine your cousin brought you down with him chiefly for the sake of having somebody at his disposal. I wonder he does not marry to secure a lasting convenience of that kind. But perhaps his sister does as well for the present. Excuse me. And as she is under his sole care, he may do what he likes with her. I forgot, who is Darcy's sister? Oh. Yeah, I don't think we've seen anything of Darcy's sister, just heard. Right? Yeah. The woman that accompanied Darcy before was Bingley's sister, who was absolutely infatuated with Darcy, but yeah. Alright. But perhaps his sister does as well for the present, and as she is under his sole care, he may do what he likes with her. No, said Colonna Fitzwilliam, that is an advantage which he must divide with me. I am joined with him in the guardianship of Miss Darcy. Are you indeed? And pray, what sort of guardians do you make? Does your charge give you much trouble? Young ladies of her age are sometimes a little difficult to manage, and if she has the true Darcy spirit, she may like to have her own way. As she spoke, she observed him looking at her earnestly, and the manner in which he immediately asked her why she supposed Miss Darcy likely to give them any uneasiness. Convinced her that she had somehow or other got pretty near the truth. She directly replied, You need not be frightened. I never heard any harm of her, and I dare say she is one of the most tractable creatures in the world. Tractable? What does tractable mean in that? What does that mean in this context? She is a very great favorite with some ladies of my acquaintance, Mrs. Hurst and Miss Bingley. I think I have heard you say that you know them. I know them a little. Their brother is a pleasant gentleman, like man. He is a great friend of Darcy's. Oh, yes, said Elizabeth dryly. Mr. Darcy is uncommonly kind to Mr. Bingley, and takes a prodigious deal of care of him. Care of him? Yes, I really believe Darcy does take care of him in those points where he most wants care. From something that he told me in our journey hither, I have reason to think Bingley very much indebted to him. But I ought to beg his pardon, for I have no right to suppose that Bingley was the person meant. It was all conjecture. What is it you mean? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I know what it is. Oh, I know what it is. Oh, I know what it is. Oh, wow. Okay, this is good. I do not expect this at all. I'm going to be honest. I should have expected this, but I did not expect this at all. Wow. Wow. Okay, we're ready. We're ready for this. Oh, yeah. Okay. What is it you mean? It is a circumstance which Darcy, of course, would not wish to be generally known, because if it were to get round to the lady's family, it would be an unpleasant thing. Oh no. Oh no. Oh man. is good. And remember that I have. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. And then Elizabeth says, "You may depend upon my not mentioning it. And remember that I have not much reason for supposing it to be Bingley. What he told me was merely this, that he congratulated himself on having lately saved a friend from the inconvenience. Oh, ooh, oh, this is not what I was expecting. What he told me was merely this, that he congratulated himself on having lately saved a friend from the inconveniences of a most imprudent marriage, but without mentioning names or any other particulars. And I only suspected it to be Bingley from believing him the kind of young man to get into a scrape of that sort, and from knowing them to have been together the whole of last summer." "Did Mr. Darcy give you his reasons for this interference?" "I understood that there were some very strong objections against the lady. And what arts did he use to separate them?" "He did not talk to me of his own arts," said Fitzwilliam, smiling. "He only told me what I have now told you." Elizabeth made no answer and walked on, her heart swelling with indignation. Yeah. Well, because that was going to be like the greatest thing for her sister. And Mr. Bingley wanted it, I think. So now she's even more mad. I mean, she already didn't like Darcy before, so now she's going to hate Darcy. After watching her a little, Fitzwilliam asked her why she was so thoughtful. "I'm thinking of what you have been telling me," said she. "Your cousin's conduct does not suit my feelings." I got to use that phrase, dude. Why was he to be the judge? "You are rather disposed to call his interference officious." "I do not see what right Mr. Darcy had to decide on the propriety of his friend's inclination, or why, upon his own judgment alone, he was to determine the direct in what manner the friend was to be happy." But she continued, recollecting herself, "As we know none of the particulars, it is not fair to condemn him." uh, It is not to be supposed that there was much affection in the case. Uh, oh man. Oh man. Uh, what's going on here? "That is not an unnatural surmise," said Fitzwilliam, "but it is lessening the honor of my cousin's triumph very sadly." This was spoken jestingly, but it appeared to her so just a picture of Mr. Darcy that she would not trust herself with an answer, and therefore abruptly changing the conversation, talked on indifferent matters till they reached the parsonage. There, shut into her own room as soon as their visitor left them, she could think without interruption of all that she had heard. It was not to be supposed that any other people could be meant than those whom she was connected. Of course. Of course. Yeah, I think obviously this is a story, but In the real world, I'm not sure. In the real world, I'm trying to think. I don't think you can blame Mr. Darcy, right? Because like Mr. Darcy has no real like connection to the Bennets. So you got to think from his perspective. He's just kind of counseling on. He's just counseling Bingley on what he thinks is smart. I think they use the word prudent or propriety. Yeah, I don't really think you can blame Darcy. I mean, obviously, Elizabeth can blame Darcy. So let's keep going here. There could not exist in the world. There could not exist in the world two men over whom Darcy could have such boundless influence. Two men over whom Darcy could have such boundless influence. That he had been concerned of the measures taken to separate Mr. Bingley and Jane, she had never doubted. Wow. But she had always attributed to Miss Bingley the principal design and arrangement of them. Yeah, so had I. If his own vanity, however, did not mislead him, he was the cause. His pride and caprice were the cause of all that Jane had suffered, and still continues to suffer. He had ruined for a while every hope of happiness for the most affectionate, generous heart in the world. It ruined for a while every hope of happiness for the most affectionate, generous heart in the world. Yeah, from Elizabeth's perspective, yeah. Yeah, that's true. And no one could say how lasting an evil might have been inflicted. How lasting an evil he might have inflicted. There were some very strong objections against the lady, were Colonel Fitzwilliam's words. Wow. And these strong objections probably were her having one uncle who was a country attorney, and another who was in business in London. To Jane herself, she exclaimed, there could be no possibility of objection. How loveliness and goodness as she is. Her understanding excellent, her mind improved, and her manners captivating. Neither could anything be urged against my father, who, though with some peculiarities, his abilities, which Mr. Darcy himself need not disdain, and respectability, which he will probably never reach. When she thought of her mother, indeed, her confidence gave way a little. Absolutely savage. But she would not allow that any objections there had material weight with Mr. Darcy, whose pride, she was convinced, would have a deeper wound from the want of importance in his friends' connections. Than from their want of sense. And she was quite decided at last that he had been partly governed by this worst kind of pride, and partly by the wish of retaining Mr. Bingley for his sister. Yes. Yes. Who was the mastermind behind Mr. Bingley and Darcy's sister? Because it wasn't Miss Bingley. I'm going to have to go back. If anyone's watching, make a comment. Let me know. Yeah. Okay. The agitation and tears which the subject occasioned brought on a headache, and it grew so much worse toward the evening that added to her unwillingness to see Mr. Darcy. It determined her not to attend her cousin's DeRosan's. Oh no! Where they were engaged to drink tea. Mrs. Collins, seeing that she was really unwell, did not press her to go, and as much as possible prevented her husband from pressing her. But Mr. Collins could not conceal his apprehension of Lady Catherine's being rather displeased by her staying at home. Sure. All right. Well, another eventful chapter for sure. All right, gotta go. Have a good one.